your Cincinnati Bengals found a way to win their wild card playoff game against the very, if I had to rank the rivalries, I don't know where the Ravens peg in. Some people would definitely put the Browns up above them. I think most people would put the Steelers above them. But it's starting to ramp up, starting to put them up there. They found a way to win 24-17. It wasn't the game I think we envisioned could happen. I think it was the game the Ravens envisioned could happen. And if they, if things go their way, they win that one. But this team, man, I don't know how. We've talked about it every week. I get on here and we just go over like amazing scenarios or just situations that just wouldn't happen, I think, under the Marvin Lewis Bengals for whatever reason. Just the way they find a way to make a play at the end. And it's funny because we talked all offseason about people saying, oh, they got lucky, this happened, that happened. Is it luck if you do it 10 times? Is it luck? Or are these guys they don't flinch? They don't back down. They keep ripping at the ball. They keep punching at the ball. They just think they're going to make a play, and they do. And the other team might flinch first, and that's all it takes. And they continue to be able to put themselves in position to win the game in tight games where they're not playing perfect. And this is Bengals on the Brain, and I'm Joe Goodberry. We're a minute and a half into this, as I tend to do. But what I was going to say is, the Ravens, why I said this is a Ravens-type game, is the Bengals had 5 drives when the third quarter ended. 5 offensive possessions, that's it, not counting the kneel down right before halftime. Why would you count that? But 5 drives, you had 1 punt, you had 1 fumble. That would have been a punt anyways. It was a check down. Not much happened there other than 40 yards of field position. And then 2 touchdowns and a field goal. That's okay. You'll take that. That's like they should have 5 drives in the first half versus the Bills or versus most teams. You're getting that after 3 quarters. That is tough. That means if you gave each team 10 drives, the Bengals and the Ravens will probably score on 6 to 7 of them. The Ravens, with their offense, probably score on 4 of them. So the Bengals win that game. That's why they don't want that type of game where each team gets 10 possessions. They want the type of game where each team gets 6 or 7 possessions. And the Ravens just got to steal one and score or win a turnover and score. And when that fumble happened and they drove down before half and scored, that's when things got super tight. Because after the first 2 drives, I think if you guys are feeling like I were, you were like, whew, all right, we're okay. We're going to be all right. And then like all of these division games, the Seahawks and 49ers, close at halftime. Bills, Dolphins, close at halftime. Second half, those favorites took off and handled their business. The Bengals were unable to do it. The offense lost Jonah Williams. A few other things happened. They got 1 drive, they scored. And the defense was just holding on for dear life, man. It was, I felt sick watching it. It took me a while to be able to go to bed after, but they did it, and we can move on. But we're not fully yet. We're going to review this. Number 1, I want to look at the offense and the offensive line now that the 3rd starter has gone down. Jonah Williams dislocating his other kneecap. He did the other one against the Ravens in Week 5. That was now 14 weeks ago, and this one goes on him. We have to see if he can play this week or in a week or 2 or 3, if ever. We got to wait. Zach Taylor called it week to week. Jackson Carman stepped in. So it's not just going to be a focus on Carman and Jonah, because now at this point we want to see how Sharping doing. How is Hakeem Adeniji doing? How's Volson? His rookie year's over. He's a second-year player for all intents and purposes now. And then Ted Karras seemed to be the heart and soul of the offense, especially the offensive line. And how did he put his mark on this game? We'll start with that right now. Ted Karras, number 64, setting the tone early. He's going to come up, climb to the second level here, and take Roquan Smith for a ride. Really throw him out of the club the whole way here. If you've watched that the whole way, even on the other angle, I should have put it on there. But I also wanted to show Max Sharping here. The biggest issue with Sharping so far has been run blocking. I think he's a bit too tall sometimes, doesn't get the push, but man, Calais Campbell, future Hall of Famer, still a problem. Next play, Karras is going to climb up to Roquan Smith, and he's going to get the pancake, knock him down. Setting the tone very early, being physical. We love Ted Karras in Cincinnati. Something Baltimore was doing a lot to give the Bengals issues was sending a guy over 1 or even 2 gaps, and a lot of times those Calais Campbell, he would jump right at the snap or right before the snap, right here. Both guys are going to jump in one gap over, maybe even two, actually. And you're going to see Hakeem Adeniji and Sharping are going to have some issue with it, not be able to pick it up, not be able to slide all the way over. We get Roquan Smith on a blitz. Again, things that they're going to do a lot. I think Pirine misses this a little bit. Ted Karras is going to come over and pick it up. And there's only one sack here out of these plays. If Burrow reads it correctly and gets the ball out, that's what I've been saying. You can have some miscues on the O-line as long as your quarterback's very efficient and clean the way he was, but for the most part. And there again, you see the pocket. I like to pause it right at the top of the drop for the quarterback and see what the pocket looks like. Right there, you have a good pocket, but you still end up giving up. So it's a clean read, it's a good pocket. You still end up giving up that hit on the quarterback as Volson can't handle Calais Campbell. Moving on, I believe this is the next drive here. It had to be because they only had 3 in the first half. And you're going to get a kind of a delayed stunt, end tackle stunt, but it's going to be 2 defensive ends for the Ravens and focus on Jonah Williams and Cordell Volson. Jonah's going to hit the power step and run his guy completely out of there. Volson's going to be able to stay with a much more athletic Odafe Owe, and they do a good job allowing Burrow to climb the pocket and hit that. Again, pause it here at the top of the drop. Nice pocket. Good job for everyone. If I had a little bit of criticism, maybe we can focus over on Hakeem Adeniji, who seems to sometimes stop his feet and allow a guy to run the arc on him. Head back to Jonah Williams, and this is the next play here where you can see the sack that he gives up on that play. Just the power, just sometimes can't anchor fast enough and quick enough. It's something we'll see as a contrast to Jackson Carman. This is the exact same play, though, also, and why Burrow can't slide away from Jonah is because Hakeem Adeniji is also struggling with power on the same exact play. This is the play that Jonah gets hurt. I don't want to focus on it too much, not much analysis there. It's his other knee this time that seems to have dislocated. They're not ruling him out. We'll see how it goes. But come out in the second half, and it's Jackson Carman who played left tackle at Clemson. And instantly what you see is a big difference, is a little bit of length and definitely raw country power for Jackson Carman is how I'd describe it. He's just naturally strong. Bengals in the pistol here, by the way. But naturally strong when he makes contact with guys and pushes them out. You see how far they end up being affected by that. Ted Karras helping Volson, gets that defensive tackle. Max Sharping climbing to the second level to the linebacker. This is one of their most efficiently blocked plays of the night. So I wanted to focus there, shout out all 3 of those guys. We're not just going to focus on Carman here, even though, again, here, bang, watch him with that power and length, right? Still ends up bumping into Joe Burrow a little bit. But I just think that's his lack of athleticism more than anything. He definitely got the power. And again, same thing. I wanted to say that there's a chip there. That's why I highlighted both guys, but ended up not being. But if you look on the other side and look at Adeniji, does not handle that power at all. I mean, the guy just swats his hands away and ends up really struggling with that, and would have given up a big pressure and hit had he had not got the ball out quickly. Cordell Volson losing to a defensive tackle there. We're going to keep it moving pretty quickly. Next pass block loss would be Adeniji here. Outside rush, swats his hands away, runs the arc on him. If the ball wasn't out so quickly again, we're going to say that with like all of these pressures. Look to the other side, though, as we've got a end tackle stunt, and they just run into each other, which I thought was funny. So keeping it moving. 7 blockers this time, get a little play action. This is where you get a lot of protection here. They do a great job. And Burrow's like all the way to the right of that pocket. It's something you'll see. Sometimes he's not directly in the middle of the pocket. If he knows he's getting the ball out on time, he really doesn't worry about his spacing. I think sometimes that leads to a little bit more sacks than it can be, than it should be. And I'm showing there all the 3. You can go 3 different ways. You can go through the guy, around the guy, or loop back inside if you wanted to. And Jackson Carman, because of his length and power, makes it harder to go around. He doesn't have to be the most athletic guy when you make that radius that much further to go around. And I think he does that a few times on display in the second half here. And then there's a 2-point conversion to give the Bengals a comfortable lead, or at least a 7-point lead at this point. Pistol run here. Bengals are trying to figure out the run game. You're seeing different looks. And I actually think this is on Joe Mixon. I think he should have stayed off to the right there. It looks like he was reading zone on that run. And just good play by the linebackers. Again, let's look at the pocket. At the top of his drop, he's able to come all the way back around to drop check down, but we'll keep it moving. Jackson Carman, I want to say this is a sack here. Let's see, roll it. And yes, this is, I think he may think he's got help on that side,
but he stops his feet. And when he stops his feet, the guy just runs around him, swats the hands down, runs around him, made it too easy there to run around that arc. On the other side, Max Sharping, a little bit of power from Owe, made it hard for Burrow to move up in the pocket and do anything. So both guys lose. That's typically how that can result in a sack. Let's watch Volson and Cartman on Calais Campbell. Swim moves them right at the snap, and you get a holding call on Jackson Cartman. Again, that goes a little bit to both of them, actually. Patrick Queen blitz up the middle. I don't think Pirine gets over enough or fast enough. Ball comes out. Kind of a drop from Jamar Chase. Could have been completed easily. Just things I was noticing as I think they struggled picking up the linebackers, but otherwise they were pretty good. This is the last play or last throw of the game. Focus on Jackson Cartman a little bit here. And you'll see his weight and balance issues, drops his eyes, and the guy gets around him. That's kind of who he is.
So the offense can only muster 17 points with an extra point missed. 2-point conversion was nice, and that worked, and Joe Burrow went off script for that, so we're happy about that. I thought Burrow was good overall, especially with the O-line being issues, and especially with the Ravens defense that did not, like they were playing deep. They were only giving them a couple opportunities to even throw on the boundary and the outside, and they do a good job mixing up the front and doing different things and simulating different pressures and creeping guys up to the offensive line, making you declare, and it's tough. They're tough, and they're fast, and they're physical. The Ravens gave us everything we could handle. Credit to them. If there's any Ravens fan watching, I don't know why you would, but if you are, it was tough, and you guys deserve credit for it for not having Lamar out there. But the Bengals, on defense, that's what won the game for them. You could feel it. I know I tweeted things in the third quarter. The Bengals defense is going to have to win this game. I didn't think it would happen in epic fashion like that. I just thought it'd be like a third down sack or something. But I guess we haven't been able to predict these amazing plays that they've been able to muster up in the playoffs and in big moments the last 2 years now. But we're going to look at that. We're going to look at how the backup guys, the depth guys, because the Bengals played a lot of 5-2-4-3, so we got to see a heavy rotation. I didn't put Akeem Davis-Gaither's interception, but I wanted to shout that out because they're playing 4-3 defense, which they almost never do. Akeem Davis-Gaither got to play, who had a tremendous game, and special teams tremendous game. Had an interception early, but I wanted to focus on Zach Carter and Jay Tufele and Cam Sample and Joseph Osai. The backup guys are playing. They're making an impact. They've been able to get more and more snaps as the season went on because the starters got hurt, and I think it really helped them or boosted their development. They're where I think they can help the team now, and they did. It was a big game from them, big game from DJ Reader. We're going to focus on him, a few plays from him, but I also want to focus on the sequence that led to the fumble. A lot of plays had to happen. A lot of hustle, tough, physical, good tackling plays had to happen in order to lead up to that Sam Hubbard 98-yard fumble return for the touchdown to take the lead and ultimately win the game. Now, well, let's check that out.
Defense setting the tone. Logan Wilson right after the Akeem Davis-Gaither interception. He's going to take on Tyler Linderbaum and deplete him. Yeah, Linderbaum gets a tackle, but it doesn't matter. Set the tone. Keep it moving. Backups. Backup defensive linemen defending the run. Jay Tufele locking a guy out, getting eyes on the ball carrier, scooping back inside, helping to make the tackle. Same on the other side. Cam Sample locks out the tight end. I don't know what the tight end's doing, but doesn't matter. Make your play. Don't worry about him. And Zach Carter, I think the light bulb is finally flipped on for him. He still has some plays where it's like, he's getting blown off the ball a little bit. But then he has plays like this where he regains himself, takes on the double team, is able to knife under and inside and make a nice play on the ball carrier. More bullying of rookie Tyler Linderbaum. DJ Reader is going to bench press him and get him out of there, shed him, make the tackle for a short gain at the goal line here. This is what it looks like when that's length and strength and intelligence. This is the drive, though, here, where the defense wins the game, and it happens 4 plays in a row. I highlight Jesse Bates there because I want you to see him. I think he's washed out of here pretty good. That's a tight end blocking him, Isaiah Likely. You see from the end zone angle, I think it really shows how far inside Jesse Bates was. I didn't realize this during the game until I saw this film. I was like, wow, he's really inside these hash marks here as the tight end's blocking him. He's really got to break off, go 100 miles an hour, and race this guy to the corner and get him out of bounds. And he does. It was very, very close to being a score right then and there. The next play is where a little play action pass to Ricard, the fullback, the big guy, but Cam Sample gets up and just tips the ball with his fingernail. I mean, you could see it in the HD replay on the Sunday Night Football broadcast where the spin of the ball just changes, but Cam Sample gets up and just flips it. Who knows if he would have scored or not? It would have been a play at the goal line. Would have been interesting. That's a big boy there catching that ball. Now we're at second down, and they're going to try to run to the right, and it looks like it's there, to be honest with you. Like, if you pause it just as this guy decides to break it off tackle, unless those safeties and linebackers are flowing right down to the ball, normally this would be a score, but I think Logan Wilson dipping inside makes the offensive lineman get in the way a little bit, and then Von Bell and Jermaine Pratt just hold their ground and stuff them right at the spot of contact. So we go to the play of the playoffs so far of this season for the Bengals. Save their season, and it's a QB sneak. Tyler Huntley tries to go over the top. We've seen this all before, but let it run. It's awesome. Watch these two kids here on the sidelines in the end zone. I'm going to highlight them real quick. They're just loving life, jumping up and down with each other. Like, where are their parents? It doesn't matter. They're having a good time. At least they look like kids to me. But, just Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson knocking that ball out. Sam Hubbard finding a way to block Mark Andrews because he's going for it. And finding a way to block Andrews without actually pushing him in the back. It's kind of a close call either way, had they have called it or not. Andrews is definitely tired. You see the way he lays there. But you got to give credit to Pratt. I know the forced fumble was going to Wilson, but I'm not even so sure. That's why I wanted to show this. And look how the ball just magnetized over to Sam Hubbard's arms. And that was the game, but the Bengals still needed one more stop, and they were able to get it at the end. A couple plays that I wanted to highlight is Joseph Ossai doing his thing. He's really come up big in the second half of the year for them. Draft athletes, let them do their thing. DJ Reader going to use Tyler Linderbaum to push him into the running back and make the tackle. Good edge setting there by Cam Sample and Logan Wilson, forcing them back inside, or else it doesn't mean anything. But DJ Reader is going to toss the center right into the running back, and I think that just shows what kind of game it was. It was just a physical, hard-fought game, and luckily the Bengals came out of it.
So that's that. The Bengals squeaked out a win. We'll take the win any way you can in the playoffs. It's not supposed to be offensive to say they squeaked it out or that the Ravens gave us everything we could handle. I mean, that's how it was. The Raiders game came down to the end. Jermaine Pratt making an interception. Titans game came down to the end. Logan Wilson went to interception. And obviously the Chiefs, who are a good team, came down to an interception on the last defensive play for the Bengals as well. Jesse Bates tipping it to Von Bell. That's right. And in overtime. So can we continue that? Got the Bills this week in Buffalo. I'll be there for that one. Different offense. An offense that's going to... I watched that Dolphins game. If you guys haven't, and because we don't do too much previews, I'll spend a minute. The Dolphins said, okay, Josh Allen, you're going to have to play hero ball. At one point late in the game, Josh Allen was averaging 15 yards of depth per throw. That's insanely deep. And they were saying, you're just going to have to chuck it down the field. We're not going to give you this intermediate stuff. You want to throw one-on-one and complete 25% of those passes down the field? Go ahead. And we'll live and die by that. And it was a good plan. Bills still put up more than enough points. 34-31 was the end, to win that game and to beat any team. So is that the key to stopping them? Hoping Allen makes a few mistakes, doesn't hit these deep balls. The Bengals are going to play them very differently. And I saw a lot of people who said, I'm less concerned about the pass rush now for the Bengals and more concerned with the corners. And that might be fair. But I also think the Bengals aren't going to play the Bills corners the way they played the Ravens. The Bengals corners aren't going to play the Bills receivers the way they played the Ravens receivers. And that's why Apple ends up jumping on that slant and go, sluggo seam. They do it both on. And I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think you're going to leave Eli Apple or Cam Taylor-Britt out on an island. This is the game where the safeties help those guys out much more. And it's the Bills, and you hope they can hold up in the offensive line department, the Bengals now. We got to see when Kappa and Jonah can come back. It's a good thing that neither are out for the year, at least as of right now. We don't know, how long the season's going to continue, but I don't know if they're going to play this week. Does that mean Isaiah Prince comes up and goes to right tackle and Hakeem Adeniji goes to left tackle? Or do you just stick with Jackson Carman and Hakeem Adeniji? It's not ideal either way. So I wonder what they'll do this week in practice. I can't believe they didn't bring up Isaiah Prince to begin with. They're starting to get thin anyways there. I was waiting for that call up the last 2 weeks, and it hasn't happened, even though Adeniji has held his own, in his own right at right tackle. So, yeah, the show goes on. Playoffs keep rolling. The top 4 seeds remain in the AFC. That's the way it's kind of supposed to go. And Jags will go to the Chiefs on Saturday, so we'll know what happens in that game before the Bengals-Bills game happens. We'll know if the Bengals have an opportunity to host the Jags in Paycor Stadium, which would be awesome with a win. So I guess we're rooting for that, right? Because that would be pretty cool, pretty storybook. But that's Bengals on the Brain. I'm Joe Goodberry. Again, follow me on Twitter at Joe Goodberry, part of the Cincinnati Bengals Talk YouTube channel. You're already on there. But if you haven't, click the like and subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment too. I mean, I want to put up a poll. I don't know if you can even do it here, but I'm going to put one up on Twitter. What was the craziest play? I think the Sam Hubbard play is going to win because it's new. But man, that Jermaine Pratt play last year was electric, and it ended the game. The Ravens still had a whole nother drive, which I think could be factored in and accounted for here. But I think the newness of the Hubbard play would probably make that number one over the Logan Wilson, over the Von Bell play of last year as well. So, yeah, what a play. What a moment. Have fun with it. We'll remember that forever. That's it, guys. Take care.